Hello.
Hey, how are you?
I'm great. So just for the record, we're not late today because of me. Just for the record. Since he always want to let y'all know that we're late because of me, today was not really me.
It was on me. Oh, it definitely was on me today. I had to get some strengthening down there to the workplace. So his show was on me today. Had to let them know y'all got the right one today.
Did you
Like
have to
they
pull out your
said,
folding chair?
listen. Like they said, you got the right one, baby. That was Ray Charles. The young kids don't know that
That
commercial.
was Ray Charles. I remember that.
That's the
All
old
right.
school. The young kids don't know that
That
one.
old school. Right. So what's up to the people? Hey to my people, Cool Gamer, Volvo, Lemon Kush, Cams. Hey everybody, welcome. And special shout out. We have some very loyal listeners on the iTunes side that listen to us. So shout out to those of you that listen to us faithfully over on that side. Come on over to YouTube and join us. Come and join us live.
Mhm.
Hey China White. Hey, by the way. So welcome everybody who's coming in the chat. So listen, y'all, we're gonna get into we've been on our summer break. I've been traveling. El Teddy been traveling, so we are back. We had our little summer break, but we are back. Um, and the sad thing is we're back, and I feel like at least three of our stories come from daggone Florida. I feel like it's always Florida.
Oh, Lord.
It is always Florida, El Teddy.
It
That's your
is. It
that's
is. It
your
don't make
state.
no damn sense.
Them your people.
It is. I mean, they're adjacent to me. I live in the great state of Miami-Dade County.
You don't live in the state of
Uh,
Miami Dade. You
the
don't.
great state of
You don't.
Miami-Dade County
You don't.
is where. Well, I'm saying where I'm from. I should say. I don't live. I'm from there. Excuse me.
Anyway,
I
moving
apologize.
forward, I'm not doing this with you. Did you see when DeSantis expelled the attorney general?
Right. I'm supposed to do a politics of it all today,
Yeah.
and I will be
Well,
talking
y'all make
about
sure
that.
y'all get over there so y'all can get the breakdown with El Teddy because I'm confused. It. I need to get the breakdown myself. But we're not gonna spend time on that. Y'all check El Teddy out or his politics of it all this afternoon so y'all can get that breakdown because child. Oh God. All right. Do you want to start with the update on the story of the little boy in Virginia? Do you want to start with
Yeah,
AP?
let's get that out of the way.
All
Let's
right.
get that out of the way.
All right, let me pull the article. And I forwarded you all the articles, but let me pull the article
So
up.
that made me more
Um,
upset.
listen, we've been talking about this for months, and for those
It
of you
just
who
keeps
don't know,
getting worse.
right? For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, let me give you guys just a brief update. Back last school year, I don't have the exact dates in front of me. I'm sure the article will speak on it. Um, the little boy in Virginia, he was in Norfolk, Virginia, or that area, who shot his teacher. The affidavits from the case have been made public, and let's just go through it, child. Let's go through it. As always, let me just link and put the link in the chat so you guys can follow along with us. Let me read it, child. Let me read it to y'all. All right, here we go. Newport News. I said Norfolk. I'm sorry, Newport News, but that's all right down there together. So, a 6-year-old boy who shot his teacher in January, okay, that was January, later boasted in a conversation with the school employee that I shot that bitch dead, according to unsealed redacted search warrants. The documents obtained from CNN by CNN affiliate WTKR describe what happened after the first grade teacher, Abigail Werner, was shot on January the 6th. I'm sorry. Um, I'm sorry, El Teddy. Okay. Sorry about that. Um, I did it, the boy told school officials, according to a police in an affidavit. I got my mom's gun last night. Unsealed records on Zerner's statement to police at the hospital said when the boy drew the weapon from his pocket and pointed at her, she asked, "What are you doing with that?" She told authorities the boy paused, then fired one shot that struck her in her left hand and upper torso. The affidavit obtained said that she fled the classroom to the school office, according to the affidavit. The teacher suffered gunshot wounds to her hand and chest, but survived. The lawyer for the child's family told CNN, sorry, it was a pop-up. A lawyer told the child for CNN, for the family, told CNN Tuesday the child had extreme emotional issues, and we are all working to see that he improves every day. James Ellenson, the attorney, also said the child is in therapy and has shown improvement. Representatives for the family have previously said the student suffers from an acute disability. I need more. I need you to be more. Anyway. The documents also included more information about a previous incident in kindergarten where the same child apparently choked a different teacher. Authorities spoke to that teacher who described the incident. He walked behind her while she was sitting in her chair, placed both of his arms around her neck, pulling down, choking her to the point that she could not breathe. A teacher's assistant forcibly removed the student from the classroom. Police say they worked to obtain limited school records pertaining to the child from Child Protective Service records on the choking incident and other information, but those records were not readily available by Newport News Public Schools. Newport News Public Schools, in a statement Tuesday, said since the tragedy at Rich Neck Elementary School in January, Newport News Public Schools has worked cooperatively with the Newport News Police Department and other authorities in support of the investigation. While the school division cannot comment on legal actions, NNPS remains committed to ensuring the well-being and care of all students and staff. The mother of the student pled guilty to federal gun charges in connection with the incident as part of a plea deal and will be sentenced in October. Deja Taylor will plead guilty to a state charge of child neglect on August the 15th. The state charge for recklessly handling a firearm will be dropped at the time of the plea. The cap for sentencing on the child neglect charge is 6 months. Sentencing on the federal charges will be October the 18th. A separate sentencing on the state charge will take place October the 27th. El Teddy, what you got? I got some things to say. I'm gonna let you say what you got.
Let me start by saying what I've said from the very beginning. Really, I've been consistent on this, if you recall. From the very beginning, I said, talk to me when we have real repercussions for the parents and involved. And now that I hear this, knowing this is learned behavior from that parent, that household, and that family. I don't care what you got to say about whatever disorder, whatever accommodation is needed. The behavior, choking somebody out, having a gun, knowing what to do with the gun, being cognizant of your intent to off this woman. This is behavior that is readily available for observation by that child in the home. This isn't something that, oh, because of their disability, this autumn. No, it's going beyond that when that child can definitively say, yeah, I shot that bitch. I tried to kill her. Really? Like, this is behavior that goes beyond you trying to explain it away by saying that they have some acute disability. Maybe that's not acute disability behavior. That's the behavior of somebody who's in a household, even if it's a child without that disability. This is a household where this stuff is readily available. Readily available. And
so I'm
go
sorry.
ahead. Go ahead. No, go
I
ahead.
thought you were done, baby. Go ahead. I thought you were done.
And the last thing that I'll say about it is, there's no way in my brain that this child goes anywhere near those parents again. There's no way justify. I'm almost at the point now where do I want to have a clean removal? And I say that because we know how a lot of families are. Okay, I'll have the child on paper, but I'm gonna still let them come and stay with you. And I've seen that. Really, we've seen that many times over. Where, oh well, the child was removed from the household, but we put them with the aunt, we put them with the brother, we put them with the grandma, and then the child ends up still being in the same environment or in the same situation that got them removed to begin with. Go ahead.
So I have a couple of things. First of all, I ditto everything you just said. So ditto, ditto, ditto. But I have a couple of things that I want to say, and I've said, and I've been consistent from the beginning. As somebody who's been an advocate for students with special needs, the first thing I want to say is this: when there's a child that has to face consequences and they have a documented disability, we have what's called a manifestation meeting. And there are 3 questions that have to be answered in a manifestation meeting to decide whether this child should be punished with a suspension, or was this what we call a manifestation of their disability. What and what that young man says that this was not a manifestation of whatever disability they have made up in their mind that this little boy has. Because the question that you have to ask yourself is, did he know, or he or she know, what they were doing was wrong? Did they understand the consequences, or that there would be consequences? I'm paraphrasing because I don't remember the exact language. It's been a few years. But and then the third question was something about, did they show remorse or something to that effect, right? When this little boy said immediately after, yeah, I did it.
Immediately.
Right, I did it. I shot that bitch dead. That shows a consciousness and an awareness of what he was doing. He knew what the consequence could have been. He knew that by taking this weapon to school and using it, the consequence is that somebody would lose their life. And he understood that. It wasn't a, oh my goodness. Let me give you a quick example and then I'm going to move on. We had a student one time, and this student was intellectually delayed, which we used to call, back in the day, we used to call retarded. We don't use that word anymore. There was a teacher, a student was arguing with the teacher, and that student either spit at the teacher or hit the teacher. This little boy, he was trying to hit the student, but he accidentally hit the teacher. He immediately started crying. He didn't mean to do it. And what he kept saying throughout this whole process was, she shouldn't have hit the teacher. She was, in his mind, he was defending the teacher. This was definitely a manifestation of his disability, because in his mind, his actions were justified because he was trying to defend the teacher. He didn't understand. You understand what I'm saying? The difference in what this young man was doing. And as much as the teacher was like, but he hit me, we had to explain to the teacher, this is the process and this is why we can't suspend him, right? I agree with you, El Teddy, that there's no reason in the world why this little boy should be in the school with his parents, because I also put, and I said this from the beginning, I put a lot of this on the school, because the school actually wrote an IEP for this 6-year-old that said he can't come to school if he doesn't have a parent with him. That's not even legal. And the school should have been going through the process of putting this child in a different setting, because clearly the school was not equipped to handle this child. And I'm telling you now, if I'm the kindergarten teacher, if I'm the aide, I'm suing the school district too. I'm getting in on this lawsuit.
Sure am.
There's no reason in the world, unless you are in a self-contained situation and you are trained to deal with students that have these behaviors, there's no reason in the world why a child should be choking you and he's still at the school. I don't care what his age is. And I'm not saying that he needs to be taken out in handcuffs, but I don't care what the age is. There's no reason in the world why a year later this little boy is still in that setting. I don't care. I don't care. So yeah, El Teddy's been consistent. I've been consistent, and I think that we all feel the same way. The parents, they don't need to have this little boy.
Did you get the story I sent you from the Washington Post?
Which one? That was a Washington Post story. Let me go back. Let me look.
I sent you one about the AP site.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay.
You want to do that next?
No. You didn't have it in the emails that you sent me, so that's why I just want to make sure you got. You don't have to send it. I just wanted to make sure you got it.
Oh, I thought I had
Um,
forwarded it. My bad. My bad. I thought I had forwarded it. Hold on, let me forward it. I think you know what? I don't know where I forwarded it, but let me forward it. Okay. Matter of fact, let's just go ahead and go there. Any fine. I think we're done with that one. The mother is going to be sentenced. The 15th is Tuesday, right? No.
Hey,
Yeah.
everybody in the chat. I know I ain't talked to everybody in the chat. I haven't eaten all day. That's what I've been doing. I'm trying to get feel like to eat. I haven't eaten all day. I'm dying over here, dying.
Y'all know how he is when he don't get his snacks or his food, honey.
Hmm.
All right. So, let's just head on over. Let's just head on over to AP, child. Let's head on over to AP. I have to add this to the matrix. I'll let you guys know. We're about halfway through the year, so I'm gonna let you guys know what stories we've done this year. We said we're gonna keep a running tab of the states, so I'm gonna give y'all that update. Hey everybody coming in as well. Please hit that like button, and if you're new here or you're catching us on the replay, please go ahead and subscribe. We are counting down to 1,000. We have less than 500 at this point, child. We counting down. We counting down. All right. Where did I put it? I just had it. Oh, here it is right here. All right. I'm going to drop the link in the chat so you guys can follow along if you want to. We are in Florida. Ravine said, El Teddy always eating on camera. We used to it. Ain't we used to it, though? Florida schools drop, and this is one that hits me as well because I actually have taught AP psychology. But anyway, Florida schools drop AP psychology after state says it violates the law. Large school districts across Florida are dropping plans to offer advanced placement psychology, heeding a warning from state officials that the course's discussion of sexual orientation and gender identity violates state law. 8 of the 11 districts with the largest enrollments in class are switching to alternate courses, and just one said it will stick with AP psychology. 2 others are still deciding. The state of Florida, I'm sorry, the date on this one is August the 9th. I'm sorry. The state of Florida has encouraged schools to teach the course without objectionable material about sexual orientation and gender identity. But the College Board, which runs AP, said these topics are central to the study of psychology and cannot simply be excised. Last week, the College Board said the course was effectively banned and advised districts not to offer it. Further complicating the matter, a day later, Florida's education chief told districts that his agency believes the schools can offer the course in its entirety, but also said it should be in a manner that is age and developmentally appropriate. The state has previously said teaching school-age students about sexual orientation and gender is inappropriate. Faced with this standoff, many school districts are opting to change their course offerings, shifting plans just days before the start of classes. In a statement, Broward County Schools,
Brevard, yeah, no, get it right because the Moms for Liberty will come after us. That's their headquarters.
Brevard County Schools said the school district is in a no-win situation because the College Board made it clear that any course that removed the objectionable material would not be certified as AP. Remind me to come back to that, El Teddy. Well, you'll know, you know, and I know, but we'll come back to that. In essence, if we don't teach all of the content, our students will not receive AP credit. If we do teach all of the content, our instructors will violate the law. Therefore, we will not offer AP psychology in any form at our high school this year. The popular class has been taught in Florida schools for 30 years, with thousands of students in the 562 schools set to take part this fall. The conflict stems from Florida's Parental Rights and Education Act, dubbed by opponents as the Don't Say Gay Bill, which outlaws classroom instruction on sexual orientation and gender identity in kindergarten through 3rd grade. In April, Ron DeSantis expanded the prohibition to include all grades. Teachers who violate the ban could see their teaching license suspended or revoked. The AP Psychology course asks students to describe how sex and gender influence socialization and other aspects of development. The College Board said this element of the class has been present since the course was launched in 1993. Florida schools had offered the class every year since then. It's just one in a string of curriculum and book battles raging across Florida as the state seeks to limit student exposure to certain lessons around race and gender. They talk about how it rejected the African American studies. This week, the Tampa Bay Times reported that Hillsborough County English teachers are being told to teach excerpts from some of William Shakespeare's plays instead of the full text. Oh, child. Now, what did William Shakespeare do to y'all?
But really, B, I told you this was coming. I said that on this platform. I said, y'all want to do that? Y'all want to ban the black books? Y'all, because it talks about race. Y'all want to ban the LGBTQ books because it talks about sexuality. What are you going to do with Shakespeare? I said that right here. You were here, really, B. You remember? I said that. I taught English many years. You can't teach Shakespeare without addressing sexuality, gender roles, all of that stuff. Hell, the actors were in drag. If we just want to go down this road,
They were in
all of
drag.
this stuff, how do I teach Othello without talking race? I- You can't have it both ways. And here's what pisses me off about College Board, because I'm not just gonna put this all on Florida. Now, the part of the article that we, because this is a long article, but AP Psych is the most is has the largest number of tests that are given in AP in all of Florida. No other tests give more. I think they have more than 26,000 AP exams for AP Psych last year alone. Okay, so it's the most tested AP course, which is a lot of money. That is a lot of money that College Board would miss out on, and a lot of money in terms of college courses that would be paid for by them passing that exam. Now, here's why AP, College Board and AP ain't shit. And I apologize for cursing because this is not the platform for that. But I feel passionate about this. You bent the knee to Florida and Governor death sentence with regard to African American studies because you felt like we ain't got nothing to lose on that one. Sure, you want us to take out all of the stuff that really gives this course any value, any credence, any efficacy. I'm going to take all of that out and bend the knee. Now, the same governor, same state, same laws apply to AP Psych. Oh no, we can't have AP Psych touch. Why? Because now it's touching your money. You have no interest on seeing to it, that educational standards are upheld, that pedagogy is a part of what you're doing. It's all about the money. And they know, as well as the Florida Education Commissioner knows, there's a lot of money involved. There's a lot of white parents also involved with AP Psych because a lot of white parents know it's the most tested AP course and it's easy money. AP Psych, really be Utah AP Psych, it's not that difficult of a course. The rate of passing AP Psych is probably one of the highest passer ratings of all of the AP tests. Let's just be clear. So that's a lot of money involved and a whole lot of white people involved. Ain't a lot of white people taking African American studies. So this is all about the money. You don't care about educational standards and stuff like that. Not as much you would like, as much as you would like us to believe. Let's just be clear here. So don't tell me, oh, well, we're gonna hold the line when it comes to AP Psych, but you didn't have that same energy for AP African American studies. You can't have it both ways. The other thing, Brevard County, Moms for Liberty, who's headquartered in Brevard County, you were the same people screaming from the rooftops that, oh, we need these laws because they're teaching this in our classrooms and so forth and so on. And now your kids can get these AP courses because they told you, hey, you got to teach all of it or we're not going to give you credit for it. Because now they want to hold the line because they want all that money. You can't have it both ways. You wanted the law, you got it. You got it. Go ahead, really be. I have more, but I'll let you go because I can keep going.
Well, two things I want to say. First of all, we need to keep our eye on St. Johns County Public Schools, El Teddy, because they, according to this article, they are the only county that has decided that they will continue to teach AP psychology in its entirety. So I want
Well,
to I want to keep an eye on them as it relates to what
well,
if
let
they're
me
going to
say
be
this. Another two state, and this goes with that. The two counties that have not decided yet is Broward and Miami-Dade. They're still on the fence.
okay.
School
So we're
starts
going to
for them
we
on
need
the
to keep our
17th.
eye right. So we need to keep our eye on the people that are pushing back and see what the consequences of what happens with them. So that's the first thing I want to say. The second thing I want to say, and actually I think I have three now. But the second thing I want to say is when I said I was going to come back to that, and El Tady, you know what I mean. When it's this paragraph right here where it says in its the college board made it clear that any course that removed the objectionable material would not be certified as AP. What as an AP? So I think some people might be like, well, how will they know? They can just teach what they want to teach. We
You
have
have to
to
submit.
submit our syllabus, and it has to be approved.
Hmm.
And if that's not included in the syllabus, then they're not going to approve it, and therefore they will not certify the class. So yes, there's, of course, there are ways around things. But let me be honest, I taught AP Psych. The reality of the situation is this section is really a small section. It's really not that. It's not that deep. Like it's really not that major part of the curriculum. And you know, Florida. The other thing I'm gonna say is this, and it goes back to what you just said, El Teddy, and then I'll be done. Um, what you just said is absolutely valid. If they're now attacking William Shakespeare again, now we're talking about AP Lit. Now we're talking about AP Biology. Now we're talking. So now you're basically going to get to a point where actually Florida is no longer going to even offer AP because if you can't talk about sexuality, then that eliminates AP Biology. If y'all want to start limiting what the literature, think about what happened in Virginia with Beloved. Now you're talking about AP Lit. You know, you, you know, it's a slippery slope, which we've been talking about for 2 years, but it's a slippery slope. Go ahead, El Teddy.
And you were going right where I wanted to go. These
Oh,
people did not think this out. They did not think this out. You have people that only thought it this far, and this is a conversation. These courses were not just done in a night where they just said, "Oh, I'm just going to Google some information and make an AP course." These things took years and years of vetting, and educational standards had to be upheld, pedagogy. People had to go do research. People had to be all types of things had to go into this. So for you to on a whim, and I'm gonna leave Ron DeSantis out of this. Leave Ron DeSantis out of this. But for the legislature and people who many of whom have no knowledge of education to make these wholesale choices and decisions without having any knowledge of the effects that it could have, that's lazy and that's malpractice, political malpractice, because the people elected you to vet these things out and do your job. That's why you have staffers and a whole lot of people. Now, Ron DeSantis comes from education. Ron DeSantis was a history teacher. Let's be clear. And so it goes to say he's deliberately doing this. This isn't a situation where Ron DeSantis doesn't know the consequences, isn't familiar with what's happening. Oh, what he's doing is more heinous and more diabolical because he is from education, because he was a history teacher, because he knows exactly what he is doing and he's doing it purposefully. That is the dangerous part. That is someone who does not need to hold office anywhere, because those
agreed.
type of people are dangerous.
Agreed. I want to read the comment. CK Aimley, and I hope I said that right, says, "Hello, I don't usually message, but I've been tuning in since the start of this year. Thank you for providing this platform to inform us and discuss the state of education in America." Thank you for being here, and I appreciate that comment. It
Thank
just
you.
that's why we're here, and so I appreciate it. Citizen Jane brings up a valid point too, El Teddy. I want to hear your point on this one. Um, oh, wait a minute. Um, Citizen Jane says, They don't want public school kids to compete. I've watched it over the years. They don't want this class of children to make it to top schools. It's raising the barriers of entry. Because she said, what about private schools? Well, we know that private schools they're not under the auspice of the same. They don't have to follow these laws. They're private. They don't have public funds. So Ron DeSantis can't really hold it over their head. Well, you won't get any public funding if you don't do this, that, and the other. So it's a little bit different, but that's an interesting point. What do you think, El Teddy?
Um, right. Now, this is very true. Private schools are not under the same rules for this law doesn't affect private schools unless that because there are two different types of private schools. There's the private schools that mirror kind of like charter schools in Florida, where they still have to follow state standards and so forth for particular graduation tracks. Then there's the other private schools that are more traditional, where it's completely separate from what we know to be the public school system, and they have their own mechanisms and accreditations and things that they utilize in order to confer diplomas. So if it's the kind that's pseudo kind of like charter, where they do still have to be vetted out and their accreditation process comes via the State Department of Education, then they will have to abide by this law. But if it's the completely private in the traditional sense, they actually don't have to go by that. They would be subject to the accreditation that the people who gave them their accreditation and allowed them to confer diplomas and so forth.
Mm-hmm. And no, Satra, this is not Busy Blue, but they do favor.
I know
But no,
Busy
El
Blue.
Teddy,
I don't think I look
right,
like Busy
right.
Blue. Busy Blue is
Busy,
a Sigma. I'm a Kappa. Busy Blue has I'm not a deeper voice, but Busy Blue has kind of a raspier, huskier voice to me.
yeah.
But I like Busy Blue. He's real cool.
Busy Blue went to Howard. You went to Florida. Because Busy Blue's up here. He's actually Busy Blue probably cussing me out right now because we were supposed to link up, and I just been so busy this summer, child. I've been so busy this summer. Um, so that this article actually rolls us into the next article, which is what you were just talking about, dealing with Shakespeare in the excerpt. So I put the link in the chat. So let's just go on and keep listen. It's always Florida. Okay. That just needs to be our mantra. It is always Florida.
Oh,
So this is
God.
coming from the Advocate, and it is dated August the 9th. So let me read you guys this article. It says Florida students limited to excerpts of Shakespeare due to sexual themes. Because of Florida's Don't Say Gay law prohibiting sexual explicit classroom materials or topics in schools, students in a Florida district will only read excerpts from Shakespeare's plays instead of the complete works. This is just one example of the consequences of the law on the state's education curriculum. To comply with Florida's new legislation, Hillsborough County Public Schools, have updated their curriculum guides to avoid pornography or obscene depictions of sexual conduct. In addition, the district said the revised state standards would also encourage students to read a more variety of books. In the classic Romeo and Juliet, Shakespeare suggests premarital sex between an underage couple and many other Shakespeare plays utilizing puns and innuendo. School district officials said that the schools will have Shakespeare works available for checkout at their media centers. First and foremost, we have not excluded Shakespeare from our high school curriculum. Students will still have the physical books to read excerpts in class. Curriculum guides are continually reviewed and refined throughout the year to align with state standards and current law. On Tuesday, Florida's Education Commissioner recommended the students read Romeo and Juliet in August, further confusing the situation, the wire service noted. Also, there may be a temporary end to the controversy surrounding a book ban elsewhere in Florida. Since Florida's Don't Say Gay bill law was passed, a favorite children's book about two male penguins hatching a chick together had been banned. I'm sorry. I'm Whoo, had been banned from being distributed to Orlando area Lake County students. After students and the authors of Entangle Makes Three filed a federal lawsuit on First Amendment grounds in June. The district recently revised course and asked a judge to dismiss the claim as moot. According to Florida education officials, I'm sorry. According to Florida education officials, the school board members who filed motions Friday, age restrictions and Entanglement 3 were lifted. The Florida Department of Education indicated that the limitation applied to classroom instruction only. According to the American Library Association, this book is among the 100 most censored books in the past decade. El Teddy, you're the former English teacher. What you got?
These people do realize that it is actually male penguins that hatch the egg.
Right, like that's
hatch,
biology. That's
that
actually biology.
it's actually it's actually the male penguins that keep the egg warm, sit on the egg, nest the egg, and when the eggs hatch, it's the male that the egg is underneath. All the female does is the female pops out the egg, gives it to the male, and say, "All right, bro, I'll see you in several months after the baby is born." And there are a whole group of males that do what? Stand together to keep the eggs warm so that the eggs can hatch. So you literally have males together that are hatching the goddamn eggs. That is science, biology, real, true, and true. These are the same people who wanted to ban elementary school books that taught that it's the male seahorses that actually give birth, which is true. So because of your hatred, your bigotry, your discriminatory ways and nature, you want to change science. This is going back to, let's be clear. This is taking us back to when you had the Galileos of the world and scientists being burned at the stake, being jailed, being punished because your, religious belief could not encapsulate what real science was. Oh, the whole universe doesn't revolve around the earth. Oh, go to jail. Oh, be burned at the stake. Oh, be ostracized and imprisoned. And now, because there are books that teach children, hey, two male penguins hatch an egg. And that really happens. Here's a problem, because there's a book that says, oh, the male seahorse gives birth. There's a problem with that. Hello, that's real. It really happens. Now, I'm going to really blow their mind when we talk about actual aquatic life, fish, and other water animals that can start off as one gender and change their own gender on their own. God forbid we introduce that level of biology, because no, we're not going to talk about animals being trans. That makes the animals trans. Oh my God, the roof is burning down. Help us, Lord. But this is science. This actually happens. And what you're telling me is that no, we don't want you to teach science. We just want you to make up things that fit into our evangelical Christian norm that works for us. Let's be clear that these are the same Christian norms that told us that we should be slaves, and if left to y'all would have us back in slaves and chains and shackles again. That's a whole nother story. I told y'all from the beginning, you can't start censoring race, gender, and things like that and say that you're going to leave the classics out of it. Because let's be clear, and really be, I'm not lying. Kindergarten teachers aren't teaching the same thing that 10th and 11th and 12th grade teachers are teaching. They just can't. That's not how any of this works. And the fear mongers do this. They do this thing where they just say, oh, it's K through 12. Then the kindergarten and first grade teachers must be teaching the same things as the 12th grade teachers. That's asinine. And that's the fear that they are making here. They make people get all riled up. They throw, raw meat at the rabid dogs to, having these calling cards saying, oh my God, they're teaching sexual orientation in school. And when people think school, they automatically equate elementary school. Let's be clear. To go in public, when you talk about schools, just as a general term, they think grammar school, elementary age students. And that's just not the case. That's just not how any of this works. I don't know, really. Be go ahead, because these are the consequences of what happens. Hmm.
Um, yeah, I again, again, I ditto what everything else Teddy just said. But again, where we're going, and I'm sure that the well, I shouldn't say I'm sure because hell, I don't know. But where we're going is that the students in the state of Florida are not going to be able to compete. And they're not going to be able to compete because they're not going to have the tools. Because we are going to continuously take away, take away, take away, take away. So again, El Teddy taught high school English. So you have now effectively taken away. I mean, tell me if I'm exaggerating, El Teddy, but you have now effectively taken away maybe 50% of his curriculum.
Probably
But
75.
okay, so probably 75, but you still want him to prepare those same students to be able to apply to the same colleges and be successful and be prepared with the rest of the country. Like that's the job, right? We keep taking away because you keep realizing the consequences of this don't say gay bill that you didn't see coming. You didn't see Shakespeare coming. I don't believe you did. Now, I don't believe you did. Now, maybe you did, but as a whole, as a collective, y'all didn't see Shakespeare getting hit because y'all love Shakespeare. Y'all love Shakespeare. You saw Maya Angelou getting hit. You saw, like you said, the two penguins getting hit. You didn't see this coming with Shakespeare. And if it's coming with Shakespeare, it's going to be coming with Milton. It's going to be coming with who? Give me some more of the old white folk that they love so much. I don't know. Hell, Emily Dickinson might even get hit if you.
Arthur Miller,
Arthur Miller.
Dickinson. You
Yeah.
know, we could go down Whitman. You know, we could go down all of the list, the whole spectrum.
And
Yeah, because the
again,
thing about it is, once you start to get to 10th grade material, you have to talk about interpersonal relationships within people. That's what most of the stories are about. And you think that's not going to involve relationships, love, family dynamics? You think
Twain.
that's
Oh
not going
my
to
God.
involve
Well,
any of that?
they've been already hitting Twain for years. Um, But Satra brings up a valid point too. She's smart. We got smart people over here. Satra says, listen, no disrespect. Male and female gender, boy, girl, man, and woman are all social constructs. In science, we are all females. Female XX and muted female X with muted X. There is no such thing as a Y chromosome. Now, girl, you went too deep for me, but I believe you. Because you sound like you know what you're talking about. I believe you.
You know, we'll confer with Janae, who's our science and medical expert here.
Right. Janae,
Janae is
chime
our
in.
resident science and medical expert here.
But I understand. But again, that goes back to if we can't teach our kids freely, because again, you said this is gonna go back to the days of um of with the censorship. I said I see. That's why I said we need to keep an eye on this St. John's County and like you said, Broward and Miami-Dade. I see teachers being taken out of the classroom in handcuffs. Like I literally see teachers being arrested. You would be one of them.
Because you know me, I don't care.
But that's what I'm saying. I mean, I'm not even being funny. Imagine if you were
No, I'm
still
serious. No,
teaching.
I'm serious.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Imagine if you were still teaching in high school and that, like you just said, that is your curriculum. I could see LT being okay. Janae said there is a Y chromosome biologically. It has genes on it. Okay. I'm gonna let y'all science people debate that. But it doesn't even matter whether it is or isn't. The point is that is biology. So as a biology teacher, you are now telling me I can't teach biology. As a English teacher, you've taken away my curriculum. As a social studies teacher, we already know you stomping on me. So what is it that y'all want to teach these kids down in Florida? Like what do you what do you want to teach them?
They want to teach them all about, our forefathers and how great they were and
Did you
how
hear that,
wonderful
Frederick?
America
Did you
is.
hear that Frederick Douglass excerpt that I sent you? Did you listen to it?
Oh yes, but remember last week I did when you were out on one of my lives last week. We did the PragerU Kids. We looked at the PragerU Kids um videos. I wish we could look at that on this platform right now because there was a video that talked about Black Lives Matter. And this is for young kids. These are for like 4, 5, 6-year-old kids. Where they said, uh, I really, I just wish I could. It cannot really be. We have to show this. The people have to see this. I'm gonna type it. I'm gonna put the channel in the chat because I need you to go. We can extend. I mean, it's our platform. We can extend as long as we want, can't we?
Yeah, I mean, what I was gonna say was, do you want to do it today or do you want to
I,
do it?
I, I think it adds context
Okay, no
to,
problem. Send me the link.
um to what we are talking about today. Okay, so let me send you the link to the video that that we're talking about because it's so bad. It's so bad, really. It's so bad. Hold on. Here it is. Here it is. Here it is right here. I found it. Hold on 1 second. And this is under this has the kids notation in. I put it in the chat, really be.
Okay.
Now, and I'm gonna give you a timestamp. Go to about the 2-minute mark. I just
It
let
won't.
that for about 2 minutes.
It won't let me cut it in the chat. Uh, Hold on. Let me see. Just send it to me because it won't let me cut and paste it from the chat. It won't let me do it. Let me see.
Oh, here you
Yeah.
go. Um, I see. I was doing the I was looking at the actual YouTube video feed, but I just sent the email to you. I just emailed it to you.
Okay, no problem. All right, it's in the chat though. If you guys want to follow along, I'm going to pull it up now.
I'm going to skip over the revisionist history of Mexico and California and stuff like. We're going to skip over that part because that's a whole nother revisionist history right there. But I just want you to hear how they teach young children about Black Lives Matter, and this is for kids, and this is indoctrination at its finest, indoctrination at its finest. Did you get it?
Yeah, I'm pulling it
Okay.
up now. Wait a minute. Hello, search. Pull it up. Oh, come on, YouTube. I put the link in.
Did you click on the link from the email?
Okay, here we go. My situation is real special over here. What's the timestamp you want me to go to?
Just go to 2 minutes.
Go to the 2-minute mark.
Hmm.
All right.
You didn't share screen.
The 2 minute mark. Okay.
Got so bad that
Can y'all
Juan
see
and
it?
Lucy decided to embark on the long and expensive process of applying for a U.S. green card. When their application was finally accepted, they moved into a large, wealthy community of fellow Latinos. After even work, they were able to open a new grocery store. Soon, Mateo was born, followed by his 2 sisters, and the family was very thankful for their life in LA. Then, in May 2020, George Floyd, a black man who resisted arrest and was held under the knee of a police officer, died while in custody. Although this happened in Minneapolis, Minnesota, fiery protests and riots erupted in cities all around the United States. Activists claimed that the police were targeting the black community and purposefully killing unarmed black men. As the false claims of racial targeting spread, so did the anger and violence. Throughout the summer, Mateo and his family were shocked and worried as they watched on the news where neighborhoods around LA were being burned and looted. Politicians, activists, celebrities, and even major corporations began to demand reform or complete abolition of the police force. Mateo wondered, who would keep his neighborhood safe if there were less police? And what about his family's store? After all, he had just watched protesters smash store windows, steal all the merchandise, and even set the buildings on fire. He also saw videos of angry protesters blocking traffic on freeways, threatening police, and intimidating restaurant patrons. How would fewer cops be able to stop this type of behavior? The only cop that Mateo knows personally is his middle school's resource officer, Officer Suarez. Tall and smiling, Officer Suarez has a high five, a handshake, or a fist bump.
You want me to keep going, or was that?
Yeah, that's the gist of it. You see what? Because George Floyd just died in police custody. That's it.
Well, right. Well, no, wrong, that he resisted arrest. But what people need to make sure that they're picking up is that they're pitting black against brown.
Exactly. And that's what we talk
very
about on my
intentional
platform.
that Mateo is Latina. Very intentional.
That's what we channel. And this has been approved by the Florida. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
We talked about that last week on my platform, the fact that they were pitting Latino Hispanics against black people. And also, should I tell you, the Florida Department of Education has greenlit this PragerU platform, and because they have a whole educational platform for elementary schools. This is just their YouTube page, but they have a whole curriculum for elementary schools, and it has already been approved and given the green light by the Florida Department of Education. But they're worried about us indoctrinating people. This is what we got going on.
I'm putting the link in the chat. Oh, El Teddy already put the link in the chat, but there it is again. Sorry, I forgot El Teddy put the link in the chat. Yeah.
But see, we got time to be arguing about frivolous stuff all the time when children are going to be getting this. And children, black children, brown children, and every other child is going to be taught this, taught that, oh no, it was George Floyd. He wasn't killed by police. He just died in police custody. Oh no, because you notice how they said, oh, it was wrong. They wrongfully accused the police of purposefully targeting black people because there are no empirical studies that show that already, right? There's just no empirical data that shows and demonstrates that, right? Teaching that, oh, as Hispanic people, you need to understand that it's the blacks that are so wrong in what they're thinking. Mind you, they think the same thing about y'all. It's the divisiveness for me.
You know, I, I I just think I'm speechless at this point because I'm just so over it. I'm so over it. You know, when you listen to that, you just hear the propaganda, you hear the catchwords, you hear you hear what it is. Like you said, even when they were talking about the whole um the police situation, once again is being misrepresented. Nobody ever said fire police officers. We said get rid of the bad ones, and we said put take money away from buying tanks and put more money into training officers on how to deal with a child with autism so they don't show up and shoot him because he can't calm down and he's nonverbal, right? That it was never about firing and getting rid of the police. That was, now granted that I said from the beginning that the title was a terrible title, but it was never about defunding the police department and firing all the police. It was about taking money away from continuously building up weapons and artillery and the things that aren't helping, and putting more money into hiring therapists who can go with the police when there's certain types of calls and deal with things when somebody is in distress, when you have a child or a mentally ill person or someone who is suicidal, or like that is what they were talking about. But once again, we've reduced it to we just want to fire all the cops.
Oh, should I tell you that? Oh, they have wonderful videos about Booker T. Washington, Harriet Tubman. Oh yeah, it's all there for you. You can go watch it. Oh, it's so beautiful. So at least with the Harriet Tubman one, they did say she was a slave. I guess it's the small victories that I should be at least glad that they at least said that she was a slave. I guess we're supposed to take the small victory. Then they have the Booker T. Washington video. They have it's all there for you if you need it. And like I said, this is just their YouTube channel. Um, but they have a whole educational series and program that is being introduced into many districts in Florida that because it has been approved. I should also note that this Shakespeare story is coming out of Hillsborough County. That's Tampa, Florida, one of the blue areas in Florida. One and Tampa, I believe, is still one of the 20 largest school districts in all of the country. I believe Tampa is in that top 20 largest school districts in the entire country.
And you know what's funny? I was getting ready. I was like, "Oh, I'm about to blow this comment section up." They have their comments turned off.
It's a kids video. It's a kids video. And you know when it's
Oh,
designated kids video, you
you got,
can't leave
yeah,
comments.
you can't. Right, you can't leave comments. Right, 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 right.
Hmm.
Oh,
But we got so much other stuff to be focused on. I'm just saying. Do we have
well,
time for the last story, or did we kind of get the drift? Oh, we do kind of need to address that last story about employees, because that one, it's not about the students on that one for me. That one is about the employees, which is so egregious. I talked about it briefly on my platform, but that one is egregious because now you're going to tell um that's out of order. That's completely out of order.
all right. Well, let's talk about it. Our last story. Y'all know we normally do an hour, but we brought you guys a little something, something extra. So we're gonna go ahead and
Yeah,
bring you.
y'all ain't seen us in a while, so
Yeah, y'all ain't seen us in a while, so hang around. We got one more story, and then we're gonna hop over. I guess in about 15 minutes, give El Teddy time to set everything up. In
mhm.
about 15 minutes. And again, it's Florida, y'all. I feel like all of our stories came from Florida, except for the one on
Yep.
except for the one on the 6-year-old.
Florida said y'all been on vacation. I'm coming back with a vengeance.
Ciao. All right, this is coming from the Advocate as well. This one is dated August the 8th. So, Florida school district bans trans employees from using their pronouns. As a result of the state's Don't Say Gay bill, a large Florida school district sent out a document on Monday forbidding transgender employees from using their preferred pronouns and forcing them to use group restrooms based on their biological sex at birth. Additionally, simply calling a student by a nickname now requires written permission according to the district. While the pronoun guidance also applies to students, it imposes stiff penalties on faculty and staff who violate it. Orange County Public Schools serves about 210,000 Orlando area students, and the pronoun and nickname policies are included in its updated academic guidance for the upcoming school year. The memo was sent to employees in response to 2 new Florida laws, and we've already talked about the laws, child. As a result of those changes, guidance documents summarizing district rules and punishments were written. Rather than their gender identity, the memo explains that students and employees are categorized by the hormones and genitals presented at birth. Employees and contractors who are transgender may not provide a personal title or pronoun to students which does not correspond to the employees or contractors' biological sex at birth, according to the memo. This would also mean that a transgender woman who goes by Miss would, under these guidelines, have to be addressed as Mr. Furthermore, employees and contractors cannot ask students to specify their preferred pronouns or titles. Additionally, according to the Deputy General Counsel for Orange County, educators concerned about pronoun usage and potential liability can contact students using their first or last name. Students can only be addressed by a preferred or nickname if a parent submits a permission slip in writing that indicates that the name a student can be called. A student named Michael, for example, couldn't be called Mike without written permission. The document also states that parents may indicate the name a transgender student uses if it differs from their other records, but that while the student's name will be honored, the pronouns they identify with will not. According to the State Board of Education, education licenses can be revoked for teachers who break the pronoun rule. For our transgender students and employees, they must be provided single-stall restrooms for their usage. Transgender students and employees may not enter into a group restroom which is designated for the sex other than their biological sex at birth. So, okay. Any student who willfully enters a bathroom or changing facility designated for the opposite sex, if the student refuses to depart when asked to do so by instructional personnel, administrator, or school resource officer, can be punished. Employees who use another restroom than their birth sex risk being disciplined as well. Violators can be fined up to $10,000 under law. Asked to clarify why the policy protects the rights of those who disagree with transgender people's gender identity to use the pronouns they wish to address individuals, but fails to allow transgender employees to refer to themselves by the pronoun and honorific with their identity, the spokesperson for Orange County Public Schools referred to the Don't Say Gay bill law. There have been state legislative and rule changes around the parents' Bill of Rights since last school year, which impacts students, teachers, and staff. All of our school principals have been provided information and guidance to share with staff. Media Relations Administrator Michael Olenoff told The Advocate. Equality Florida Parent Family Support Manager Jennifer Solomon condemned the policy announcement. The guidance developed by Orange County Public Schools in order to be compliant with the Don't Say Gay is inevitably a result of vague and bigoted legislation championed by the administration. Solomon continued, parents and families of LGBTQ plus youth are pushing back and proclaiming the freedom to decide what is best for our children. Florida is currently experiencing a severe teacher shortage with thousands of staff and teaching vacancies across the states.
Here's the sobering statistic. Now, I mentioned this, but I had to look it up. If you look at the 10 largest school districts in this country, 5 of the 10 are in Florida. 5. Let me say that again. The 10 largest school districts in this country, 5 of the 10 are out of the great state of Florida. We talked about 2 of them today. This is out of Orange County, which is Orlando. The previous story was Hillsborough County, which is Tampa. And all of these places and areas that I'm talking about, they're not rural areas. This is not red country. These are the bluest areas within their respective states. So the scary part is this is when people talk about, they don't want to get involved with politics because that ain't their thing. Politics will get involved with you. I could last year be Miss So and so. I could be Miss Jackson because maybe I transitioned years ago. Okay, because think about it. There are people who not only have transitioned in how they look or how they dress. There are people who have had full gender reassignment surgeries, really be meaning all of my parts are, the different have been changed. But now you're telling me, oh, you got to go with what I was at birth. Notice they changed it from birth certificate. You notice that really be they've changed it from what's on the birth certificate to saying what you were identified as at birth. And so you're going to tell me a grown ass person who made a decision for my life, my body, my well being, and everything. If I tell you that my name is Miss So and so, my name is Miss So and so. And so now you get the right to tell me, oh no, you Mr. So and so now. And we're going to let everybody, and we're going to force everybody at this school, children, faculty, and staff all to disrespect you and misgender you for the rest of your career here. Now you have to be subjected to our reign of tyranny. This is what we got going on. I mean, go ahead, really, because I'm about to spike out. Let me drink some of this grape juice I got here. Lord help me.
This is just stupid. Isn't it more confusing? Let's just walk down this road. I have a 3rd grader. Their teacher presents as a woman. Hair, nails, makeup, boobs, booty, dress, heels, earrings, woman. But now you want my 7-year-old to understand and be able to articulate that they have to call their teacher, who, if for all intents and purposes, is all woman, but now they got to call them Mr. Smith.
You're making way too much sense.
You don't think that that's more confusing for a child?
You're making way too much sense.
You're
making way too much sense.
You want Mr. Smith. You want Mr. Smith to walk into the male bathroom and do what? What if Mr. Smith doesn't have a penis anymore? Why is Mr. Smith walking into the male bathroom? Mr. Smith doesn't have a penis.
No,
and I understand that y'all have skulls in the male bathroom, but I'm just saying, like,
really be. No, here's the scarier part, really. No, really be. Here's the scarier part, because people always equate this to trans women. They leave out the trans men. That's the part that's going to be way more alarming, because our trans brothers, you most times cannot even identify that they were ever born as female.
I hate to be the one to tell y'all this, for all of you bigots. I hate to be the one to tell y'all this. You probably have been in the bathroom millions of times with someone who was not born the sex that you are. You have been around people. You've had people wait on you at a store. You've had, like, I promise you, because the reality is most trans people, especially these days with the amount of surgeries and hormones and enhancements, they're not clockable like they were 20, 30 years ago. You just don't know. Look at T.S. Madison. Look at Laverne Cox. Right? Like, if you didn't know, you wouldn't know. I don't care what nobody say. If you didn't know, you
wouldn't know. Janet Mock. I didn't know Janet Mock was not born woman until
God.
my students told me, and I told them they was lying. I was like, "Don't lie." That woman was, and I went and looked it up. I said, I was so shocked. I said, "Y'all lied on that woman. Y'all so wrong." I was about to chastise them for saying that, and went and Googled, and I said, "Oh, well, there's that." But you know what I'm saying? Like, but this is happening while we over here arguing about who can and cannot have periods. We got things truly affecting people's real lives. I wanna clean up one thing really, and I apologize. I do want to do this. Um, Satra, I want you to know that it was me. I did delete the comment that you put in there. I felt that it did cross a line that we don't want to cross here. You have put a comment about LGBTQ and black people, and it referenced pedophilia. That's a line that we don't want to cross
Yeah,
here. So
we can't talk about, yeah.
yeah, I really wanted to. I just wanted you to know that I did remove that comment. Um,
But I do agree. I do like the comment you made about school churches opening up and homeschooling and extending schools for our kids in a place where they're going to get the real information. I'm with you on that one. And I'm gonna say this too. I hear what you're saying, Citizen Jane, and I'm gonna push back a little bit on what you're saying as well, from the point of view of the LGBTQ community cannot police every person, just like the black community can't police every person. Like, you can't hold us responsible for Candace Owens. Like, you can't. Like, you can't hold us responsible for Boosie. So to say, oh well, trans people brought this on themselves because they didn't police each other about how, like, I'm sorry, I can't police every, well, I'm not trans. But if I were trans, like, I can't police every trans person and what they do and don't do. That's not fair. It's not fair to say that. I mean, that's the same as holding all black people accountable for some ignorant stuff that some black people do. Like, we can't hold everybody accountable, and we can't pass legislation for the one or two people that are out here behaving badly. I'm
and
sorry.
that's the whole thing, that you have wholesale laws that are being made about outliers. You're making laws for outliers, for exceptions, for anomalies, when by and large, this isn't the norm.
Yeah, and so again, you have a right to your opinion. You absolutely have a right to your opinion. But I'm just saying, I'm just, and as an educator, you said they're going to start policing the way you dress. No, they're not. Now, maybe in Florida, but generally speaking, no, they're not. Because the unions have decided that years ago. Now, see, Florida union situation is a little different, but the unions have taken care of that a long time ago. We don't have most teachers that have a union don't have a dress code.
However, you do have some states that Florida is a state that does have unions, but they are a right to work state, which
Right,
kind of gets
which is
in
a little
that
different.
gray area. It gets a little gray. Now, Texas, they don't even have teacher unions. They're not even allowed to have unions, teacher unions in Texas, which is a scary notion as well. And there's some other states that fall into that category as well, which is a scary notion where they could dictate to them what they can and cannot wear from the state board of education.
And that's the same thing with North Carolina. North Carolina has unions, but they are right to work states, so it doesn't quite work the same way either. Sharice says, "Can I ask you to a question? Why did they take sex ed and driver's ed out of high schools?" I don't.
Driving it was a money situation for a lot of people. They just felt like for a lot of places, just like a lot of electives and enrichment courses started to get phased out, like shop. They put money went into testing, and what they did was when students' test scores were not meeting the state standards, they stopped giving. They started taking away students' elective courses and giving them additional courses that would help remediate where they were in reading and or math. So they would have a traditional language arts class, but then they would have what they would call a reading class that was supposed to remediate them to hopefully to grade level. Same thing with math. And so by that happening, you started to have less and less students in some of those enrichment and elective courses, and they just started to get phased out because the money just wasn't there, and the enrollment just started to dwindle.
Yeah, and I mean, I know up here, like in my high school, driver's ed was never a class you could take during the day. It was a class you had to take after school, and you had
I
to
know
pay.
it was in
Again, I went to
Florida. It
private
was
school too,
really
so
big. Yeah, it was
yeah,
really big in Florida up until a time
yeah.
when that high
And as
stakes
far as
testing.
yeah, and as far as sex ed, I feel like I mean we're sitting here, we've been fighting. Look at what we've been talking about pretty much this whole show. Like we can't even let people teach the biology that is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Um, in Georgia, okay, so Georgia's right to work as well. They have a union, but it's right. Satra said, in Georgia, we have a union, but it's also right to work, and it's hard for a teacher to earn tenure. Each year, there's a fear you will lose your job. Exactly, exactly, exactly. Yeah. I've always been lucky that I've worked up here because that we've never had, knock on wood. Our unions are very, I mean, they're not as strong as I would like for them to be sometimes, but they're certainly stronger than they are in other areas of the country. And like I said, I know there would be a full on riot if you started trying to police teachers. We've never had a dress code since I've been working. I mean, I'm not saying never in the history, but I'm saying since I've been working in up here, we have not had a dress code.
We
Um,
don't have a dress code. Well, in Miami-Dade County, there's no dress code, but there was appropriateness. A principal can look at something that you said that you had on and deem it inappropriate for school or for the classroom.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's a clause. I mean, I'm not one of those people that pushes the envelope. I know I had a teacher that I used to work with, and she did push the envelope. Her clothes were too tight, too revealing, just too much. And I do know that there was a time when she was actually sent home and asked to change. So
Hmm.
clearly, there is some leeway there, but I don't know. I just again, when we talk about Florida, what I would like for us to do, El Teddy, and we can work on this for next week's episode. I would really like for us to try to find the numbers of how many vacancies are in the state of Florida. School is going to get ready to start,
Last
and
time I checked, and this was about 2 weeks ago, there was close to 6,000 statewide. There was between 5 and 6,000 statewide.
so not only are we talking about students not getting the appropriate curriculum. Uh oh.
Wow.
So now I don't know. So because I don't know if it's me or you, because my StreamYard's been acting up anyway, but because so now not only are we not talking about kids getting the appropriate curriculum and getting the appropriate information, now we're talking about them not even having a teacher at all. 6,000 vacancies, and we're talking about, and I'm sure we're talking about major subjects: English, math, social studies, science. We're not talking about.
Everywhere I've looked, there's the litmus test where you know it's bad when you see vacancies for English or language arts.
Or
You
social
know it's
studies.
bad because English and language arts have to be fit. That's a course that every student in every grade has to take every year. There can't ever, you don't go to school without taking an English or language arts class. So every student that walks in the building has to have an English teacher or language arts teacher. So when you start seeing every district, every school asking for English language arts teachers, that's when you know you got a problem.
Yep. 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 I want to thank you guys. We're going to go wrap this up. I want to thank you guys for being here. I want to thank you for all of your opinions, even if the opinions were different. And I appreciate the fact that I saw people talking in the chat amongst themselves and having a difference of opinion, but not people not being disagreeable. Y'all know we, El Teddy and myself, we like to create that environment where people feel free to share their opinion that may not be popular or may not be what we're saying, but that we can all still walk away and in a happy space. So I want to thank you guys as always for moving in that way. And if you are not subscribed to the channel, if you're catching us on a replay, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Hit the like button if you have not already. And El Teddy, what you got to say? Yeah, you were telling me about that yesterday, Satchel. I'm gonna have to matter of fact, let me do that right now. Go ahead. I'm putting it on my reading list right now. The devil you know. Go ahead, El Teddy.
I've read that by Charles Blow. I have mixed opinions about it, but I have read it. Um, I just think that if you have students or children right now that are students in public school, you need to be making yourself aware of what's happening. Too many times, parents buy the school supplies, buy the school uniforms or the school clothes, and say go to school and do whatever the people tell you to do. And especially us as Black people, as other minorities, LGBTQ, and other marginalized groups, we're not vigilant in seeing what's really going on. Whereas our counterparts, those white people, they are, and that's how we got here. They are so invested in every single thing that's there, to the point where they want to make decisions on education that goes against sound education. And so now we're at this point because nobody is ringing the alarm. We've been ringing the alarm over here. We've been sounding the bell. But as a parent, or as a family member or friend that has a family member or loved one that is in K through 12, or even in college for that matter, this should be of note to you, because they're trying to raise a group of the next group of citizens that have no knowledge of what this country really is, that have no knowledge of some of the atrocities that happen every day. I'm not talking about atrocities that happen in history. I'm talking about atrocities that happen every single day. And they just want us to turn a blind eye to that so that they could do more of it and get away with it. And so it starts with education in K through 12. So we have to be vigilant and stay on top of this stuff and make sure that we keep our eyes on what these people are doing. That's all I have, really, B.
All right. I added that to my book list, Satra. I'll let you know when I start reading it. I got a couple of books ahead of you, but I'm definitely gonna add it to my book list. I've been trying to get back into doing my reading, child, because y'all know I fell off, child. I fell off. All right. Um, with that being said, y'all, we ready to head out. Sorry. Add to wish list. Okay. Y'all know my mind, I'll forget. El Teddy, what time are you doing your politics of it all? It's 5:43 now.
I'm gonna say I should be live by 6 o'clock.
All
No
right,
later
six
than
o'clock.
I won't be long. It'll probably be about 45 minute live.
No, oh no, you're fine. Take your time because we're not going to do a traditional tribe meeting today. We are going to talk about Leah Remini's lawsuit against the Church of Scientology. I'm a little nervous about talking about Scientology,
Oh, we
but
talked about that last week. Oh, come on, really,
yeah.
baby. I
So
was a
we
good
want
substitute
so
teacher.
yeah. So
They're gonna be ready because I was a good substitute teacher last
you
week.
are.
We did talk
Listen,
about that.
listen. El Teddy was the best substitute teacher last week, honey. And I
So
didn't
we
even ask him
did.
to do it. You see how friends will do you? I didn't even ask him to do it. He just said, listen,
Hmm.
I know the tribe is going to be feeling some kind of way this week. So I'm going to open up the doors to my classroom for everybody to come through. And I appreciate you. I appreciate you
Yeah,
so
but
much.
yeah, we talked about Lisa Remini. So they did get we dabbled over there in Lisa Remini and read some stuff.
Okay.
So
Well, we're going to
they'll
talk
be
about that
ready.
today. So we'll be a
Okay.
little bit later. We'll probably be around maybe 8 o'clock ish because I gotta go run an errand. So don't take your time, babe. Take your time. All right, y'all. We are out. I'm hitting the button. One of these days, we're gonna have an intro and an outro, but we're gonna do that one day. One day.